Do you like shiny holiday cards? Hey everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to my channel and the craft/dining room. Today I've got a very easy die cut and embossed idea for you for the holidays. Holiday card making, when did it start? Like in July? Last April? As soon as Christmas ended last year? Wherever you're at in your card making spectrum for the holidays, stick around. My shiny, embossed, beautiful holiday card project coming up next. Here's a look at the key products I'll be using today. I've got this beautiful Snowflakes embossing folder from Gemini Designs, and I've got this new die, and I can't believe I didn't have this die in my collection, but it is just the word Merry with a generous shadow layer. So that's the die, and what I'm going to use today is some of this amazing matte silver cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. I keep all of my cardstocks from Simon in these awesome little pockets, and that also lets me drop in every single scrap that I get because, you know, you don't want to waste not, want not, because this is beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a panel down and we'll get started with our embossing. I'm going to use my Spellbinders Platinum 6 today, and I do have the new expanded plate system. Now on this system, it does give you all of these sandwiches. And for a standard embossing folder, it says cutting plate, folder with the paper inside, platform B and platform A. So I'm going to pop platform A and B together here. And I'm going to grab my panel. Now I went ahead and trimmed this down because I don't want to cut it and ruin any of the pattern after the fact. So this is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. What you want to do is figure out which side of your folder is the smooth side. So one side feels nubby and one side feels smooth. I want to actually have the lumpy side, the bumpy side on the bottom, because I'm going to push this pattern up into the silver cardstock, right? And I want that to show up top. So we're pushing that design up and into the piece. Now, what I like to do is grab the shim. Sometimes you just have to play with the sandwich. So test a few out. I find with the Gemini, this works very nicely. I'm going to put my plate on top. So this is cutting plate C. And then I'm also going to take just one little scrap of cardstock for a little extra pressure, okay? That's what I've found works really well with this particular embossing folder. So I'm going to run that through, and you can practice, like I said, to figure out what is the easiest for you. And I think that gives it just the right amount of pressure, and we'll come back through. And let's take a look at our pattern. Okay, pick this up and check this out. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. So now I have these beautiful embossed snowflakes. That's the deboss side, right? You can see that. And that is going to be the panel that's going to be part of my card base. So now let's move on to some die cutting. Go ahead and take the shim piece out. And I'm going to take this plate, and I'll just put cutting plate C here. And then I've got another clear plate. But before I cut out my Merry, and I'm just going to cut it out of another piece, I need to cut these apart. Now, some dies from my collection will come sandwiched like this, and if they do, you just take some little wire snips, and I will have these linked below, but any sort of jewelry snips will work, and you just want to get in there and clip to release. And then you can wiggle it out, right? And usually it's not too hard. Once I do that though, I tend to try to at least clean up some of those cuts so that I don't end up with unwanted red on my projects. Well, I'll do that later. But we're gonna go ahead and die cut this, but this is what I mean. I usually go like this, right in tight, and I twist just so that it's a little smoother and cleaner. I'm going to just take this one part here. This is going to be the top layer of my greeting, all right? And I'll do this one in the silver. that. And now let's pop this out here. So now I have a little shiny Mary, right, for my piece. Next, I'm going to go ahead and die cut 3 out. Oh, that actually left, you know what? That left little indents in my paper. You know, sometimes that is why I like to use my Gemini for other cutting, because honestly, over on my Gemini, and I'll show you this really quick, I always cut into the same plate and then I have one plate clear. So just a little heads up to be mindful that you don't transfer some of your pattern, although that's not a deal breaker. I can still use this. Okay, let's go ahead and cut out some white layers from this so I can build up some dimension. I actually went ahead and cut one out on my Gemini, and it gives me a very different look when I use a plate for my top plate that has never been cut into. That's just something to notice. If you ever, like, my plates are causing a little too much pressure in there, so I think I'm gonna go with this one from my Gemini. Next, I'm gonna add spray adhesive to the backs of these so that I can create a little greeting with dimension. I use the Elmer's Craft Bond and I spray it in a little box off camera, and definitely make sure you have a well-ventilated room. Don't breathe this stuff in. You don't want to do that. So let me add the adhesive and then we'll stack them together. I'll just usually start on one end, try my best to get it all lined up. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it takes time, I think, to get good at stacking. But again, it's just paper. It's just paper. So, you know, if you don't stack it perfectly, cut out some more and get some more going. Pop. Just look for the little slabby seraphy things. Okay, there's that. That way we have 4 layers of dimension, which really tends to make this look so substantial. Just like you had a custom embellishment for your card. And I love that. Look at all that dimension. All right, I'll put a brick on this just to let it adhere. Like that. Then I will grab my liquid glue. This is the Gina K Designs Connect glue. When I am adding this to the shadow layer, I like to have just a little more float time, if you will. And so we'll hold this right here. We'll open up our Connect glue and we'll just take, oh, got a little goopy on there. Sometimes I don't clear off my bottle when I'm finished. But by and large, these stay really clean. And I've got a little tip for you. If you ever get a lot of glue on the end, you can use a product called Undo, which I actually used a lot as a scrapbooker. Undo on a little cloth will clean mucky muck off your glue bottle tip, off your tools. I never realized how helpful that Undo product would be just for crafting in general. I think it's a great product, and I'll be sure to link that below as well. And I do use separate tweezers for different glue things because I don't want to get glue all over my beautiful shiny greeting, and so I have a pair of what I call dirty tweezers and clean ones. But isn't that pretty? Look. Now we have this beautiful shiny dimensional Mary. I'm just going to be putting this onto a white note card. So I have a piece of cardstock here. This is 8.5 by 5.5, and I'm going to score it right at the 4.5 mark. So we're going to make a US A2 card that is a landscape format. So it is wide as opposed to being tall. Like that, and give that a good press. Then I will take a little tape because I'm going to make sure this stays closed. Now, something like this would be a pretty easy card to mass produce, right? You would just die cut a whole mess of Marys and stack them all together and then have a bunch like this. Now, I am going to put some foam squares on the back of Mary. I think I will use just the thinner ones. These are the thinner foam squares from Simon Says Stamp, because I already have dimension happening, right? I don't need to go over the top. I actually could have trimmed this panel down even smaller, I think, to show a little more of the white. Take the backers off. This. And this. And this. And I'm going to pop this down. The nice, I have to shift it just a little so I can look over my camera. And with our nice little framing margin space, got a little bit off there on the bottom and sides, but you know what? As my friend Gina K Design says, better than horrible. Take off our backers here. I just love using embossing folders with metallic cardstock. It just gives you such a gorgeous and substantial look, and really you haven't done anything too difficult, right? You've run it through your die cut machine, but it's just so cool. I'm also going to use the liquid glue here, just a little dollop, so that I have a little wiggle room when I place this greeting. I don't think I need to bring in a T-square because I can visualize this, but you know what they say, when in Rome, have it ready to roll. And here, we'll just place it right in the center. Aren't those snowflakes just gorgeous? Oh my gosh, I love it. And then I'm going to bring this up top because I think that is going to help me see the straightness. Oh, so pretty. And look at the texture and the shine. You pop that into a white envelope and you have yourself a gorgeous and very easy to create en masse, right, card project. I actually want to show you what I think is going to be a very popular set this season at Simon Says Stamp, and it's just called Simple Holiday Greetings. So any of these would be perfect for inside the card, right? So you could just, you could say Season of Hope, sending you holiday hugs. In fact, I think that's the one I'm going to do. So I'm just going to stamp this with a block. Well, you know what they say, always set your stamp down to pick it up. All right, I'll pick it up, and I'm going to grab some sample paper here because I haven't stamped with this before, so I want to practice a few times, right? And I'll go ahead and open this. Take my tape out this time. And let's see, will that stay flat? You know what? Let me grab my little magnet board. I find this to be very helpful when I'm stamping. I have this little mini Make Art station, and if I'm ever just going to stamp something inside my card, this is very helpful. I prefer a firmer surface to stamp, but I know that's not everybody's vibe. Some people like the cushiness of the mat, although these mats don't have a ton of cush. So let's practice. Let's make it the right way up. Okay, hold that. Oh, I think gray is going to be really pretty. Just going to practice a few times. And another tip for priming is, you can stamp it, right? Wipe it off. Stamp it a few more times like that. Pick up your ink. That looks pretty good. All right, let's do it. We're committing. We're putting it in the center. And stamping our greeting. Oh my gosh, that looks really good. Oh, free range stamping for the win. So now we have a beautiful neutral gray on the inside. I'm going to close this again so it stays taped shut. And this beautiful panel on the outside. And that is the finished card project. Thanks so much for watching today. I will have all of the supplies I used linked in the YouTube description box. If you're not a subscriber, I would love to have you, and I will see you in the next video. Speaking of the next video, if you're looking for some holiday card ideas, check out the 2 thumbnails below for a few more Christmas card projects.